Lisa not only made sure that the lady was okay until paramedics came to get her, but she also went to the hospital with her to visit her there, to be with her and make sure that she was okay. Lisa offered to help bring her back to the gas department to get her vehicle once she was released from the hospital. Lisa went above and beyond to help one of our citizens. She has a heart of gold and should be recognized for this selfless act. Congratulations, Lisa, for being selected as the March 2025 Employee of the Month. Your kindness and willingness to go above and beyond shows your commitment to superior public service, and our citizens thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for showing our citizens what a high-performing government looks like. We appreciate you and how you make Clearwater thrive. And I understand the citizen that you helped us here this evening. If you want to join us up here. My new friend. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for it.
Okay, so while they're in between shaking hands and doing nothing, I apologize for no video. There's no way for me to do video. But this is audio, current audio, live audio of the city council for Clearwater.
Make sure I was seeing the name right. I'd like to call forward the Chill Squad, Tyler Wilson and Charles McAbee for this.
So it seems like right now they're giving like awards or something.
Well, thank you for being here. Public Utilities received an email from the Florida Rural Association.
So yeah, if someone wants to actually see the visual, which I don't feel is that necessary, it is at the City of Clearwater YouTube page, which is at My Clearwater.
That it was an issue with the chiller system, not with the.
Right now, it says they're on item 4.1, and we're looking for 6.3.
Community well-being, high-performing government, and above all, superior public service. This team's willingness to help another community shows not only do we take.
Yeah, I was watching DOA, but
other communities and
I'm
neighborhoods.
gonna have to catch him on the
Another priority
replay
that was
because
met was of a high-performing
I want to
government
see how
where we
this
adopt
plays out.
responsible levels of service. The amazing personnel on this team are not only talented, but they are innovative in their thinking. Thank you for going above and beyond and showcasing the City of Clearwater's talent. We appreciate you and how you make Clearwater thrive.
Then we moved to item 4.2 on the agenda, Women Making History Month proclamation. This time I'd like to call forward Allison Dolan from the Clearwater Historical Society.
Okay, they're still giving awards away.
And the Clearwater Historical Society team. Whereas the city of Clearwater is home to more than 61,000 women with more than 4,100 female-owned businesses. And whereas the city of Clearwater, as part of the Tampa Bay Metropolitan Statistical Area, is ranked third in the nation for a woman to start a business. And whereas the female residents of Clearwater continue to serve their community, their state and nation as elected officials, CEOs of local non-for-profits, teachers, business owners, leaders, and caregivers for our most vulnerable neighbors. And whereas the city of Clearwater can take pride in the amazingly diverse group of esteemed women who have made their mark on our world and who have called Clearwater their home. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Rector, Mayor of the city of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2025 to be Clearwater Trailblazing Women History Month in the city of Clearwater, and encourage all citizens to recognize the women from our community for their dedication and service in the past, in the present, and future. Thank you for coming tonight. Would you like to say a word?
Just that we just opened up the sixth Trailblazing Women, and now that makes it up to 45 women that we have honored in the last 6 years. So if y'all have anybody else you want to, just let us know for next year.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Move to item 4.3 on the agenda, the Red Star Family Day proclamation, and call for at this time Jerry Schaefer from the Red Star Foundation. Whereas each year approximately 500 current service members, 8,000 veterans, and 500 first responders tragically die by suicide, leaving behind grieving families who carry on their legacy. And whereas the families of these fallen heroes, our Red Star families, bear the immense burden of loss while demonstrating remarkable resilience, strength, and dedication to sacrifices made, not only by those who served in our military and emergency response communities, but also by their families who continue to endure the pain and loss while advocating for awareness, prevention, and support. And whereas Red Star Family Day is dedicated to recognizing.
For anyone tuning in right now, we're at item 4.3. We need to get to item 6.3.
And first responder suicide. And whereas the city of Clearwater stands with the Red Star Foundation and all affected families to honor their loved ones and reaffirm our commitment to suicide prevention, mental health awareness, and peer support programs. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Rector, Mayor of the city of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim March 21st, 2025, Red Star Family Day in Clearwater, and encourage towns and cities across the United States to also recognize Red Star Family Day. Jerry had a chance to attend the announcement of this new foundation and the excitement that you and the team has decided to make Clearwater the founding home for this new national foundation.
Yes,
and it's certainly something that I talked about, has touched my family very personally in the past, and talked with others there who had families who had suffered this kind of loss in their family. But for your group to start this and choose Clearwater as the home to start this national foundation is certainly something that we should all appreciate. And so with that, would you like to just say a few words?
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Jerry Schaefer. I am the president of the Red Star Foundation. First, I'd like to recognize the following board members that are here in attendance: Greg Tiley, Father Bob Swick, David Vargas, Kevin Crozen. Next, I'd like to recognize one of the original Red Star family members that were given a banner to, which is Mayor Bruce Rector. It's an honor to stand here before you tonight on behalf of the Red Star Foundation and the countless families across our nation who have lost a loved one to military, veteran, and first responder suicides. Today, we gather not just to acknowledge a proclamation, but to recognize a commitment, Clearwater's commitment to standing with these families, honoring their sacrifice, and ensuring the loved ones are never forgotten. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Mayor Bruce Rector The
Okay.
Clearwater City Council.
This part isn't really important to what we're focused on, so I'm gonna turn it down for a bit. We're still at item 4.3, and the street vacation is item 6.3. So we have a little bit to go. If you want to see the video of this, the actual live stream, it's at my Clearwater, MY Clearwater. Their comments are turned off though. There's no chat on there, so if you want to go see it though, not that there's much to see. It's at my Clearwater on YouTube.
Ensuring that Red Star families will always have a place in the heart of this great city. Together we can make a difference. Together we can save
Right
lives.
now it seems like they're doing a bunch of like awards and stuff for people.
Please go to redstarfoundation.org to learn more about this. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Okay, now to describe what's going on, people that just got awards, they're walking in a line by the council and shaking each person's hands. And they're still wandering around up there shaking hands of the council members, the mayor, who is also a council member. Okay, then.
Exclamation. I'd like to call forward the city of Clearwater Economic Development Housing.
Okay, item 4.4.
Whereas this year marks the 57th anniversary of the signing of Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, also known as the Fair Housing Act amended, and Florida laws have affirmed the right of every American to have access to housing free of barriers based on race, color, religion, sex, family status, disability, or national origin. And whereas by supporting, promoting, and enforcing fair housing laws, as well as equal opportunity, we are contributing to the quality of our city, state, and nation by encouraging others to abide by the spirit of the National Fair Housing Act. And whereas the city of Clearwater is proud of its efforts to further fair housing and recognizes that this can only be accomplished through forging partnerships with other government agencies, corporations, for-profit and nonprofit organizations, entrepreneurs, and all persons interested in furthering fair housing. And whereas Fair Housing Month traditionally has been noticed during the month of April to remind citizens of their duty and obligation to encourage fair housing and fight discrimination, as well as the benefits of unrestricted access to housing. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Rector, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2025 to be Fair Housing Month, with the knowledge that continued vigilance against discrimination in all of its forms will encourage all citizens and community organizations to celebrate the value of harmonious and diverse communities of neighbors and support the goal of equal housing opportunity for all people. Thank you for coming tonight. Would you like to say a few words?
No, we're just here to support the Fair Housing organization, and we do our best in the housing division to make that happen.
Well, thank you for the work that you do to make sure the city of Clearwater is a leader in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And we'll move to item 5, approval of minutes.
Make motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. For the record, that was agenda items 5.1 and 5.2.
Okay, so they did 5.1 and 5.2. We're waiting for 6.3.
6.1 on the agenda.
Okay, now they're on 6.1.
Amendments to the Community Development Code to establish standards for artificial turf. Require landscaped areas in front yards for residential zone properties and make other associated updates and ordinance and pass ordinance 9805-25 on first reading.
Good evening, Lauren Matzke, Planning and Development. So this item was continued from the March 6th meeting in order to provide proper business impact estimate posting. That's been rectified and was attached to the agenda item. So I was still grateful that we could use the March 3rd work session to really talk through the substance of this particular ordinance. Tonight, I'm going to use the same slides, but I've trimmed. So hopefully it won't take too long. So, oh, well, it would help. Sorry. I've had this going. There we go. So of course, the first question is, why are we doing this? And there's a few reasons.
Okay, I do not know anything about their other, the other items that are on this, but currently they're talking about item 6.1. 6.3 is the one about the streetification and Scientology. The one they're talking about now, there's something on the screen about why artificial turf, and artificial turf's becoming more popular, and city code currently doesn't allow artificial turf. And city council directed staff to draft regulations to allow artificial turf. So it's a turf war right now. Then we're gonna move on to, I don't know what 6.2 is. And then 6.3 is the turf war with the street vacation.
In particular, I would highlight that we spoke with Tampa, who had already been working on something similarly. They did not choose to codify things, and I think in their implementation, that's been more challenging. So that also helped us, of course, learning from people's successes and lack of successes. We've also worked with several people in the industry, and I'm really grateful to them for their responsiveness and helping educate us as well, and listening to us ask our questions and express our concerns. And then, of course, the Community Development Board provided very good feedback during the work sessions that we had with them. So it's really been quite a momentous effort to get here, but here we are. So similarly to work session, I'm going to call out the pages of the ordinance, just so if you need to look at where I'm specifically talking about, or for people who are following along in other ways. So the first provision, this is found at the bottom of page 3 of the ordinance, creates a new section 3-1202A4. The new language establishes that a residential landscape area
Okay, so yeah,
will be.
I don't know how long they have for each item,
That says residential property.
but we have like 2 items, I think, before,
To landscape 25.
if they do numbers in the correct order.
This would apply to new construction for attached or detached dwellings, or when improvements are proposed in the front yard of a residentially zoned property. And then, of course, for any property proposing a new installation or repair or replacement of existing artificial turf. The graphic that's shown on the screen is one of many graphics that are proposed within the ordinance to help show what is a front yard, because if you have multiple streets surrounding your house, it's sometimes a little tricky to figure out what it would be applied to, but anything between the principal structure and the street is a front yard. Then you get into the meat of the ordinance, which is a new section 3-1203. This begins on the top of page 9. First, there's general and location standards, which are found in that section, and at the top of page 10. The proposed regulations would allow the use of artificial turf citywide through the approval of a building permit. The proposed required residential area, of course, would not be allowed to have artificial turf. A permit would not be required to install artificial turf on permitted concrete patios, roofs. I think I touched on this. It seems relatively self-explanatory, but when going through this effort, we wanted to make sure everything was clear to future users who would be accessing the code. And then the city engineer would need to approve any potential installations within the
And
public right of way or in drainage.
while
easements.
I'm
And that's in part to protect all-
doing this just audio, if there is something relevant that I need to turn the camera on, I can just turn the camera on and point it at my other phone and show it. So if someone is there in person, hopefully we can get that on visual as well.
An exception is provided to parks and recreation facilities as well as athletic fields, which can use the shorter blades and they can utilize colored artificial turf as part of their design. There are standards for pile height and face weight that differ, whether it be a residential installation or commercial or non-residential installation. These are proposed so that residential areas can utilize more natural looking products, where higher traffic areas may use different products, and that would be more appropriate in a non-residential installation. For safety and longevity, all artificial turf must be flame retardant, free of lead and PFAS, and provide a minimum of 8 years manufacturing warranty. Procedurally, as I've mentioned, an artificial turf application would be processed as a building permit. It would be reviewed by city staff and our land resources, development review, and engineering for compliance with the code and installation standards. This is new subsection D found on page 10. The planning and development department would create an application that spells out the different submittal requirements, but it's our intention to require a landscape plan or survey, a tree preservation plan if required, if there's trees in the vicinity that would be impacted, a scaled edge detail or cross section, that's an illustration of one on the slide, and then the manufacturer specifications, including installation instructions and warranty. So the permit may be issued to a general contractor, a professional artificial turf installer, or a homeowner.
For anyone that's just coming in, we are at item 6.1.
Artificial turf installation is similar to a driveway. That's the best example I think that we've used on that, because there's excavation required, and that's why some of these other standards are in place. So a tree preservation plan would be required if there's trees on the property or in the vicinity within a certain distance, and that will allow our land development arborists to review it in advance of any permits being issued and make sure that preservation is being done. Perviousness is addressed under provisions 11 and 12, which is found on page 11 for the artificial turf installation.
Okay, I must have heard that wrong. It sounded like she said perviness.
That the code requires, or that
But I am really bored at this item. Like, I hope item 6.2 doesn't drag on like this one.
It just would not be otherwise classified as pervious, and so your impervious surface ratio would kick in, so they may not be able to do their full yard. There would be some mathematical calculations involved, but it doesn't prohibit that from taking place. The remaining installation standards are proposed to ensure quality installation, provide proper barriers between the artificial turf and adjacent landscaping beds or neighborhood properties, and limiting the infill used to a silica sand or a sand-based product. And of course, the athletic fields, Parks and Rec, they could use the crumb rubber infill, although over time we see that that's being phased out for those applications as well. But for now, that is still the standard. Staff is proposing a process that would limit the number of inspections to allow installation of artificial turf.
Let me mute this for a second. She sounds like she's really bored with what she's speaking. And then she expects people to pay attention to what she's speaking. But she's bored herself. But we're on 6.1. We're waiting for 6.3.
And then they would provide any of the other required documentation. Just because we don't necessarily set up repeat inspections doesn't mean that we're not out looking at things to make sure that there's properly maintained. So our code compliance team would still be, looking at property maintenance, and we wanted to provide some information within the code as to what maintenance actually would require. The proposal is, wait, did I skip? I think I skipped the page. I apologize. So, I mean, from that perspective,
Great, she skipped the
it's,
page.
you know, is it clean of rip, tears, sprays, no smells? There's always the need to pull weeds out of it, other debris, making sure it's not, the ruts aren't starting to form. So code compliance will monitor that like they do any other yard with natural turf. If it does become damaged or fall into disrepair, then they would need to fix that, and there's some provisions in the code specifically addressing how that would be handled, and it would require a permit. If it was installed in a manner that was not consistent with the code initially, if it's a pre-existing installation currently and something needed to be repaired, we would work with the property owner to get it compliant with the code to the greatest extent practicable. That's how we work with the majority of our property owners who, you know, were developed prior to 1999 or prior to other sections of the code coming into effect. So that's my transition into a segue into how are we going to handle the groups that have already installed artificial turf. So the proposal is to allow it to be installed if it was installed prior to the enactment date of this ordinance. So that would be your next meeting, assuming that everything is approved. We would want them to submit verification of their date of installation through receipts or other things, other options. If it was installed in the right of way, then we'd need an after the fact right of way permit. Again, this allows us to do a little bit of education also into verifying that nothing was inadvertently impacted. And then of course it has to comply with all maintenance standards going forward. So the goal was just to, you know, there's no way to do this equitably because we can't see what's in backyards, things like that. So this was the most equitable way of kind of bringing this forward while we're changing provisions for new installation. And then there's a host of other small things in there or definition changes, et cetera, that are necessary to really enact this. The one, I hesitate to say substantive, but one piece that is not just a definition or typo or something like that is that the general landscaping standards are being updated to specifically call out a requirement for existing single family or two family lots to come into full compliance with the tree requirements when an addition or improvement to the lot is made. And that's because the bulk of the landscaping.
We're still on item 6.1. So we have to finish talking about the artificial turf. And then there's another item. And then we go to the street vacation. So given how long it's taken this one lady to talk about the artificial turf, we got a while before they get to 6.3. So it'll be a minute.
Board and on January 21st, and they recommended approval with one modification, and they provided two considerations, which are provided here. The version of the ordinance that's presented here is does incorporate the first recommendation, which is to clarify the applicability of what we call the 25% rule. This is that threshold that if you're making improvements to your property and it's based on the value of your property, if it exceeds 25% of the value of the principal structure rather, then it needs to come into compliance with, I just say generically, our parking and landscaping standards to the greatest extent practicable. And so this this clarifies this provided some clarification so that came up during the conversation with Community Development Board. During that time, they were also discussing, but it did not come forward in a motion, asking us to include that you could use an independent appraisal to determine that value. So that's proposed as well in here. While it wasn't a motion, it made sense, and it is what we have in other portions of the code. So it gets more consistency across different sections. As I mentioned at the work session, and as shown here, staff does not recommend changes to the proposed ordinance related to the two considerations. The proposed ordinance is What is proposed is to prohibit the use of artificial turf in parking lot landscape islands. At the Community Development Board meeting, there was a lot of discussion regarding a very specific property that had used this. And while the board agreed.
I cannot keep hearing about this turf over and over. I want them to just move on to the next item already. I hope the next item is not about turf as well. That would really, but I'd like to take this time to point out, if I had a computer, I would be able to get a visual of this as I was sharing this. I'd be able to share the screen. Unfortunately, I do not have a computer. So maybe when I get taxes, I'll be able to do that and we can do the visual as well. But all I can do for y'all is the audio. So I apologize. But as soon as I get a computer, I got you. I got better streams coming once I got a computer.
And our recommendation was just to allow us to address this through the application process. We can get some sort of verification, some proof of evidence that they've installed it. My thought is manufacturers train people. They're not going to let people install their product in a way that's not consistent with their materials. And this would allow us the opportunity to tweak if, the first few applications come through and we're not quite getting what we need or we're not comfortable, then we can do those modifications while still keeping within the intent of the code. So the last thing before I close is there was questions came up at work session regarding the disposal of artificial turf. Some artificial turf is recyclable. I worked with solid waste. They confirmed that the product is accepted for just plain disposal at both of the city's disposal sites, which would be the county's waste to energy plants as well as Angelo's, which is a service we use. Since we've shaped this ordinance to treat the installation of artificial turf more as a construction project requiring permits, staff's recommendation is to just leave it and handle that again through our permitting process, which would be for construction projects. Typically, the contractor has to dispose of their own product. So that could involve needing the use of a dumpster. Just keeping consistent with how we.
So I guess, hold on, let me turn this down. I guess what this is about is they're trying to propose an ordinance to allow artificial turf. I think there could have been a more concise, easier way to say that. She sounds bored with what she's saying, like she doesn't believe what she's saying, and this is just dragging on.
Section 8-102 definitions by amending Appendix A, schedule of fees, rates, and charges. Section 5, building and building regulations by amending Appendix B, US 19 zoning district and development standards. Division 5, site design standards, certifying consistency with the city's comprehensive plan and proper advertisement, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Is there anyone here from the public who desires to speak to agenda item 6.1?
Honorable Mayor and council members, I'm Glenna Wentworth, and I want to just take this opportunity to thank you all. I'm on the Environmental Advisory Board, and I want to thank you for supporting, reinstating me for a second term on that board. So from an environmental standpoint, I must oppose any change in code that allows for artificial turf. I'm unclear how allowing artificial turf can contribute to our strategic priorities of environmental stewardship or community well-being. Compared to natural grass, which I'm not that fond of either, but artificial turf does not clean the air, it does not cool the air, it does the opposite. And regarding stormwater runoff, artificial turf cannot, no matter how permeable it is, absorb as much rainwater as natural grass. As someone who has experienced serious flooding in my neighborhood for the first time this fall, this does not make sense. It certainly does not make sense to allow artificial turf in any areas that are flood zones. The Florida Friendly Landscaping Program, which Greenprint 2.0 and Pinellas County have embraced, does not consider artificial turf to be a Florida-friendly product. Their primary concerns are that artificial turf is a petroleum-based product. It can reduce ground.
Yeah, I was looking at, they have the one, is it called a terabyte? They have 1 terabyte for like $50. And then I saw a 2 terabyte for 75.
Biodiversity hotspot, one of 16 in the world. To qualify, at least 70% of your wildlife habitat has to be lost, usually to development. But this trend can be reversed by planting native plants in our yards and gardens, installing pollinator gardens, installing water gardens. England brought back the biodiversity of their bird population by doing this very thing. Despite their development, they took advantage of the green spaces around their homes. This is a trend we should be following. But artificial turf, on the other hand, is a dead zone for wildlife. Above ground and possibly below ground, depending on how compacted the soil becomes. And the final deal breaker for me is disposal. And I didn't hear all this well, what solid waste said, but when artificial turf ages out at 12 or 15 years, all of that petroleum product will end up in our landfill because there is no place in this state where it can be recycled. Very few places actually anywhere in the country. So I hope you keep some of these concerns in mind when you make this decision, and thank you for your time.
Next speaker.
Okay, so they're speaking on 6.1. And again, we're waiting for 6.3.
Good evening, Council. I'm Bill Johnson. I reviewed this ordinance in detail this morning and sent some questions to Ms. Matsky. I got a response to that email that she was out of the office and would not be available today. It did suggest Ms. Nancy Gardner, so I forwarded my questions to
To
her.
paint a picture for
However,
someone
I did not get a
that
response
cannot see it,
from anybody.
this guy speaking is an older gentleman wearing a suit that Dodge would wear. It's a beige, old school vibe suit with like a burgundy tie. I really wish that this would hurt. This is dragging on for me. This meeting is different than LA.
To me is the absence of the requirement that inspection of the ongoing maintenance is required. Currently, the ordinance just says at installation. Existing landscape code enforcement has not and is not being proactively enforced today. If this is adopted and not in ongoing enforcement done, it will further our city's decline into mediocrity. There was a comment by Ms. Matsky about enforcement. I'm not sure I totally understood it, but I think that ongoing enforcement should be written into this ordinance so that we make sure that it is being done, and that's a directive to the code enforcement staff. Thank you very much. Hope you'll look at these comments, perhaps incorporate some of the modifications before second reading. Thank you.
Is anyone else here from the public desire to speak to this?
Move it over here.
Mr. Haluba. I don't know if it's an issue of enforcement. I don't think the city of Clearwater does a very good job of code enforcement. In fact, I may be under the wrong impression that there has to be a complaint before any code enforcement is initiated. But as far as artificial turf goes, I think planting grass or using pea gravel is a much better alternative.
Someone else here desire to speak to this agenda?
Okay, there's another speaker.
Good evening, Mayor. Senior staff, bring my card over. I have one, so I think you know who I am. I'm Dennis McDermott. I live on Lakeview Road in Clearwater. And I just want to start out with a comment that sticks with me every time I think about something. It comes from the Iroquois Nation, and one of their guiding principles.
Is that,
Which is
I think that was my internet.
Sort of one of my ways of looking at things. And then I look at and think to myself, when I read through the staff report, it recommends adopting the regulation. Yet it made me think that there may be a dark force, some kind of a deep money architect guiding this project to a foregone conclusion. And what I read was staff met with the Environmental Advisory Board on September 18th, 2024, to discuss the proposed amendments to the Community Development Code. Rather than allow artificial turf, the EAB recommends City Council promote Florida-friendly landscaping practices, which aim to conserve water, preserve natural resources, and reduce water pollution. It goes on to say the EIB understands the City Council's interest in regulating artificial turf, while the product does not meet Greenpoint 2.0 standards, does not meet Florida-friendly landscaping criteria, and its environmental risks far outweigh the potential benefits. The EAB recommends the City Council demand the highest possible standards, including ensuring any artificial turf is PFAS-free and recyclable should an ordinance be adopted. And then on page 3 of the staff report, it says in May 2023, the City Code Compliance Division began issuing citations for properties where artificial turf had been installed illegally. After receiving these citations, property owners brought concerns to the attention of City Council. And it's my recollection that a relatively small number of citations were issued primarily to property owners on island estates, which itself was created in the 1950s through dredging and is just a series of man-made spoiled islands at or near sea level. And it strikes me that the last place we should be creating permeability barriers is on spoiled islands. Add to that the amount of solar radiation captured by plastic lawns and the adverse effects on nearby vegetation, ambient air temperatures. And it just seems that incorporating artificial turf into residential landscape regulation just doesn't add up. And I just don't know what else to say. So thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. Is there anyone else here tonight from the public that desires to speak?
Please, no one else on this one.
Here and seeing none, is there council discussion? None, is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 6.1.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
No, they just voted on 6.1 and they're starting 6.2. We're waiting for 6.3.
Designation of low, medium density residential district for 2030. First reading.
Council, Adrian Young, Plan Development, and thank you. This voluntary annexation petition is for 0.114 acres located at 2039 Poinsettia Avenue. The parcel is currently occupied by a detached dwelling unit. The applicant is requesting annexation or to receive sanitary sewer services from the city. Staff analysis concludes that this annexation petition is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the community development code as detailed in the memo and recommends approval. Any questions?
Mayor, we have 3 ordinances associated. First up is ordinance number 9814-25, an ordinance of the city of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located on the east side of Poinsettia Avenue, approximately 50 feet north of Idlewild Drive, whose post office address is 2039 Poinsettia Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining.
So, okay, are they saying the word correct or is it poinsettia? Because I always thought it was poinsettia, but he's saying it's so different. Maybe I'm wrong.
of the
Been wrong my whole
comprehensive
life.
plan of the city to designate
See, he said .7 at that time. It figures as soon as I say something about how he says it how I say it now. But he was saying it different.
City of Clearwater is low medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
Is there anyone here from the public tonight that desires to speak to agenda item 6.2? If there's none, is there any council discussion? If there's none, is there a motion?
To approve agenda item 6.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Okay, so they just voted on 6.2. 6.3 is the Scientology one.
To vacate the southern portion of South Garden Avenue between Court Street and Franklin Street as owned in fee simple by the city of Clearwater and record of plat book 5 page 53 of the public records of Pinellas County and pass ordinance 9812-25 on first reading. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to take a moment to provide some context ahead of the discussion on this item. Given the complexity and the sensitivity of these negotiations, if you would please allow me to provide some background on the steps that got us here today. As you may know, the Church of Scientology has been planning for several years to build a large event hall.
Sorry, I know I'm
property
sideways.
Just south of the Flag Building. As part of the project approval process in December, they submitted a vacation right-of-way for a 1-block portion of Garden Avenue. The city is required to respond to that vacation request. Upon review by legal, it was determined that by operation of law, the city has title to that parcel. And so in order, if the council chooses to vacate that right of way, the city would have to sell or trade the property that is reflective of market value. The city is also required to post that property for 30 days to determine if any other interest exists. As such, the council unanimously directed that I engage in negotiations with the Church of Scientology regarding the purchase and sale of this portion of Garden Avenue. Since then, I've been working individually with the council to seek their input and their priorities before opening negotiations. During the negotiations, I advocated for the priorities of every council member. Unfortunately, the Church of Scientology did not agree to all of those priorities. Given the historical and community interests surrounding
Uh-oh. What happened to my internet? No.
I advocated for the priorities of every council member. Unfortunately, the Church of Scientology did not agree to all of those priorities. Given the historical and community interests surrounding this issue, we anticipated a range of perspectives and opinions and challenges brought forth by both the community and the council as to what an appropriate deal would look like. What is being brought forward today is a result of those negotiations. This agreement meets the majority of the goals set by the council. It provides a city a fair market price as validated by the 3 appraisals the city received for this property. It creates new green space that will be open to the public, and the property will not exchange ownership until the building is completed. I will now turn this over to Tom Mahoney, who will provide the staff report. And then after that, we look forward to taking council's questions and discussion on this matter, and then ultimately council's decision.
Good evening, Council. Tom Mahoney, Public Works Department. So this is for the right-of-way vacation of a portion of Garden Avenue located between Franklin and Court Street. This will enable the future development, as the city manager says, of the performance hall and an entry plaza.
But then you can't hear it.
By staff, and we will be retaining some easements necessary to cover our utilities until such they attempt to get relocated or remain where they're at, but we will have easements covering our.
How can I do that?
You have to answer a question.
Mayor, I can read that first. If you like, ordinance number 9812-25, an ordinance of the city of Clearwater, Florida, conditionally vacating all of the right-of-way of South Garden Avenue, abutting lots 6 through 11, together with that portion abutting the vacated 15-foot alley lying between lots 10 and 11 of Fort Square subdivision, as recorded in plat book 5, page 53 of the public records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing for conditions precedent to said vacation, providing an effective date.
there anyone here from the public tonight that desires to speak to item 6.3 on? Please just line up here to.
Right, lineup means more than one person.
I really don't have a lot to add to what a long line of people are gonna say, but I do appreciate those of you who responded to my concerns by email this last week. But I have to tell you that a couple of the responses sounded like talking points directly from the Church of Scientology. And I just feel like that this is I've lived in this area in Clearwater longer than all of you probably have been alive. And I've seen a dynamic downtown. I've seen cities who went into kind of sleazy situations. It's been brought back, but not Clearwater. There's only one reason why it hasn't come back. You walk up and down the street, all the storefronts are empty. There's nothing here for anybody to come and enjoy. It is really a shame. And I feel like that by approving this vacation of this street is just another way to allow Scientologists to keep their stranglehold in our city. What's to stop them from deciding they want part of Cleveland Street because they own everything on either side? What's to stop Osceola from becoming vacated for the right price? And I really hope that you all consider the future of what Clearwater downtown could be if we can turn this around. So I ask you please not to vote for this vacation. Thanks.
Well, we know who this is.
Christine Abadi. Is she here?
Oh, that's not who's at the.
So no, she's asking for more time. I'm sorry. Karen Cunningham. Rudy Michaelak.
Why is it not?
All right, so you have 4 minutes, Mr. Bunker.
Thank you. Mark Bunker. The loss of a block-long city street will not hurt Clearwater. The construction of a large L. Ron Hubbard Hall will. Hubbard's unfortunate choice of Clearwater back in 1975 was the moment when our downtown state was doomed. It has been radioactive ever since. Covert operations against the city, the mayor, the newspaper, and the U.S. government sent L. Ron Hubbard's wife and 10 other Scientology officials to jail in the late 70s. And Hubbard himself went into hiding for the rest of his life. Not so very different from how David Miscavige hides from subpoenas today. When the city wanted to move the aquarium downtown, Scientology worked hard to stop that. Miscavige didn't want strangers in his backyard, but he sure wanted that property. And that when he didn't get it, he orchestrated this scheme to purchase all the remaining property downtown while lying about it the entire time. Now Miscavige wants you to trust that he is a man of his words. He is not. A man of his words would not treat the city this way. It may not be possible to stop the construction of the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, a monument to the biggest humbug of the 20th century. But you don't have to make it easy. Hold off on selling the street until Miscavige comes through with everything he promised. 3 buildings being renovated downtown doesn't begin to match what Miscavige promised you. And that is a drop in the bucket. That's pocket change for Miscavige. Miscavige tells you he wants a vibrant downtown for his people. His people have been flying in from around the world for decades, spending all their time and money inside Scientology's properties. They promised there'd be tens of thousands of people coming to the streets. There have not been. All of these people have been coming here. The downtown's dead. In 1998, when ground was broken on the flag building, the city was told that would bring tens of thousands of people here. It did not. Miscavige didn't even throw his support behind the Bluff property referendum because he didn't care about what happens to the downtown or what the city wants. I urge you to hold on to the street. It may be the only chip you have left. If you do give Miscavige what he wants, at the very least, rename Franklin Street Lisa McPherson Way in her honor.
Yes.
Give that hall an address that will stand as a true reminder of Scientology's legacy in this city. Thanks. And I know you're under no obligation to answer any questions, but I know our wonderful city attorney, David Margolis, crafted something that I'm sure is filled with all sorts of safeguards. I'd like to hear about some of those, if you don't mind, to make sure that Miscavige holds up his end of the bargain. Would that be possible? Well, apparently it's not. Okay.
Now discussion.
All right. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you care about what the citizens are concerned about enough to not answer questions.
Okay. There's an elderly lady now that's walking up to the podium.
Karen Cunningham, they met this week. Even going to, I think the members are a situation, but I just want to say that I piecemealing things, negotiating one thing and another thing, it doesn't work. I think we have to make a good package. And I hope we're not done with negotiations for the downtown and how to invigorate it. But I think every little piece is gonna count. So I would like to see this not taken up right now. Thank you.
Next speaker.
They said there's a long line. Hey, Kirby's, can you put Bunker's link? It's Zenu TV at Zenu TV. Okay, another lady's about to talk.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Sori Love, and I know many on this. And I'm here
Why does it
speaking
get all
on behalf of
blurry?
the Clearwater African American Foundation. And our purpose and our mission is to honor, promote, memorialize African American landmarks, foundations, and land sites. Back in the day, Garden Avenue was one of three major African American communities here in Clearwater. There was Garden Avenue, North Greenwood, and the Mac Dixon subdivision. And the North Greenwood area, the Mac Dixon area, the Garden Avenue area is the last of the three main communities that's just kind of laying there with very little happening. And that is one of the areas where there was at one time Bees Catering. Miss Minnie Kerbo, who was my preschool teacher, she taught many students in her home on Garden Avenue. I'm working with the Clearwater Historical Society, and Allison did mention that I was honored to be one of the 2024 Trailblazers last year. That's okay, I'll forgive her. And it will be an honor if you would hold off approving this amendment, referendum, of whatever it's called, to really look at what can you do in the reimagining of Clearwater's African American history to put aside something in your memory or your mind or in your referendum to honor and memorialize the African-American presence that was once thriving on Garden Avenue. And those are my suggestions for the Garden Avenue referendum. Thank you.
I liked her approach. Okay.
Mike Master Serio, City of Clearwater. I live in Clearwater. Most of you all know me. I'm gonna first read a couple quotations. One is from Mr. Albritton. I think we ought to be talking about this publicly on the dais as a regular talk. Councilmember Dave Albritton responded.
Where's it all?
The next one was one of you four men. We are at a point where we need to start bringing the public along with us to have these discussions in the sunshine, so that we're all on the same page. And he asked, supposedly we all want the same thing, right? We want a vibrant and alive downtown. So if we want the same thing, where is the disconnect? You figure out which one of you four said that. Okay, next thing is Jennifer's just stated that they are not in agreement with what you want. They don't want to give you everything that you want. So that doesn't mean there should be a deal. Now I'll go a couple steps further. First of all, I appreciate every one of you. I never thought I'd have to be up here even discussing this, but we are. Ryan sent me an answer back about parks, and he said it's going to make a nice park for the public, all the public to enjoy. The public's going to look at 21 precepts of L. Ron Hubbard. That's what's going to be in that so-called park. There's a park right now between South Fort Harrison Hotel and a county building. Have any of you ever been in that park? How many citizens do you think have ever been in that park? The L. Ron Hubbard Hallmark membership. Their reason for expanding the reach into our society. The reason I became a member of the L. Ron Hubbard Hall was I could see my job as a Scientologist to comfort and monitor the insanity of the world at large. We had to all give up our own churches and go be part of this. We're insane if we don't. I stay on top of what's happening in the world. I ask myself, what can I actually do about it? The answer is always support the only entity that can bring sanity to this planet. And Scientology came to downtown 1975. It brought a hotel and wrote plans to take over control of the city. That's called Project Normandy. Do your homework. And it was true. And Mark said people did go to jail. And then, it came sneaking into town, a religion with beliefs and practices alien to the teachings of Jesus that preached in Clearwater Christian churches. So different from the law of the prophets that are taught in city synagogues. The law of God of Israel. Thou shalt not steal. And then there was other things that went on, but I'm going to close with this vote may seem insignificant in the world's view since it's a small right of way. This is a defining moment in your elected office. The vote is about principle. And I pray for all of you.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Lola Wagonlord, and I'm not comfortable behind the mic. I give the mic to all you guys. But anyway, the gentleman that used to be an ex-councilman, I did have the pleasure of telling him he could not badger Scientology on the radio station without giving them equal time. And the lady that was there, I don't know if she knows Trailblazers, but Wanda McCaughlin and Chip Collins have been on the radio over 40 years. Scientology, they are religious people. They do their shows on religion. Scientology does not bother them, ever. And to all the people here, I was here 30 years ago for St. Patrick's Day, helping Josie paint her building purple. But anyway, This town, I've been here 37 years, and I'm not comfortable behind the mic. My husband was, my mentor was, but they've all died. So I'm here, and the progress that has been done here with Scientology, if you remember the Fort Harrison, the old gray moss building, everything was awful. It was awful. I hope the people who reject this go to Rome and see that the Vatican's there. Rome flourishes. All the hotels, all the restaurants around there flourish. Clearwater, I wish, would be like Rome. This is for progress. If you've ever been down Garden Street, it goes from nowhere to nowhere. The old Jiffy building used to be there. I used to go there for printing. There is nothing there. Nothing. And if you're trying to take Garden down to get to Clearwater Beach, it doesn't have a light. And if you think one person will let you in, they won't. They won't. The auditorium will bring people here. In 2 years, we're not going to have the courts downtown. We're not going to have the Pinellas County buildings downtown. It will be all empty. This will bring tourists from all over, and we need to get downtown back again. And these people will come here for this function, but all people, they eat, they drink, they party. They will do good things for downtown Clearwater. I have been to restaurants and they have been against Scientology. And I said, Danny, before you say one more thing, I can point to 10 Scientologists here. They support the city. And I just would like you to sign this. Let's all get along and bring prosperity to Clearwater. Thank you.
Wow, she's delusional. Two people this time.
Robert? Okay, so you have 4 minutes.
Well, today, represent my 3 businesses here with Rob. We're representing our 500 block. Today, we stand at a crossroads. We stand here not to discuss the street or debate policies, but to decide what Clearwater is and who it belongs to. For too long, the city has been shaped by hidden hands, silent deals, and the system that thrives on secrecy. It has been shaped by those who do not build, but hoard, by those who do not uplift, but control, by those who do not serve, but rule in the shadows. And yet, we've allowed it. We've accepted stagnation. We have let those with power convince us that they are untouchable. Our voices tell us that our voices do not matter, that we should simply just accept what we are given. But that ends today, because I know what Clearwater can truly be. This past Saturday was proof of an undeniable future. Clearwater can thrive. We can bring it back together. We can give them a reason to come together. We can fight and make it worth a place worth traveling to. It can become alive. Not because of policies. This didn't happen because of policies or false promises, but it happened because of us. The builders, the workers, the entrepreneurs, the families, and the people of Clearwater. Clearwater does not belong to those who cling to power out of fear. Clearwater does not belong to those who operate in silence and control people through illusions. Clearwater belongs to those who refuse to be ruled. And that means every single person in Clearwater. That does not mean someone of one faith or another, their past or their affiliations. We all have to make a choice. To the members of Scientology, the Church of Scientology, I speak directly to you. You are part of our city. You have built it with us. You invested here, and you call Clearwater home. But home is not to be controlled. Home is not to be ruled by fear. Home is not to be silenced in the corner. So today I invite you, not as enemies, not as an opponent, and not as an opposition, but as a neighbor, to stand with us, to reject secrecy, to reject division, to reject the unseen hand that dictates our futures, If you truly love Clearwater, I say stand with us, the people of Clearwater who want development for downtown. To the city council, to the votes that matter, for I'm just a voice here in silence. You know what I mean. I sat here in private meetings and meetings with you. Some of you might not like the way I express myself, but believe me, I express the truth. You have used my own work to validate your stagnation.
That's
to
not me
justify
coughing, by the way.
inaction, to convince yourselves that Clearwater somehow has already progressed. But what we have built is proof of its possibility. It's not proof that we should stop fighting or stop growing. Today, we must decide whether we serve the people of Clearwater, the ones who have long held, or the ones who have long held power in their grasp. There is no neutral ground here. You either vote for the people, for unity, for transparency, or you vote to sell what was never yours to give away. Choose carefully, because the truth is, I won't give up. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to build this town the best I could, like I promised you guys that one day. And I think together we can build this town. And that means with everyone. Believe me when I say it's coming, there's a turning point, and we can do this together. But this has to be voted no. Thank you.
Okay, so the other guy was just like his emotional support. He's not speaking. This lady that spoke, this is the lady, she spoke on the AstroTurf.
Honorable Mayor and council members, this is the second time, I'm breaking a record here, speaking twice to council, the council meeting. Since I heard about this proposed sale for a garden, South Garden Avenue, I've been thinking about it for the last couple of weeks. It seems like this is gonna be a permanent blockage of the street, basically eliminating a street in our downtown. And my concern is accessibility to downtown. Due to Coachman Park and the sound, I believe downtown is coming back. Just in my personal experience in the last 4 months, my husband and I brought our kids and our grandkids to a concert at the Sound. Actually, within the last 6 months, almost all of my extended family has been to a concert at the Sound, and most of them live in Tampa. On one occasion, we just brought the grandkids back to play at the playground at Coachman Park because they didn't have enough time the first time. When we were playing at that playground, we saw young people, 20-somethings, coming from all directions, heading to the Sound to hear the band that night. I've never seen so many young people downtown. Our visits have also prompted us to try 2 new restaurants downtown, and they were quite good. 3 years ago, this would never happen. I understand that there will be more shows at the Sound this year than last year. Also, if a nationally known museum comes to the main library, it will give people even more reason to come downtown. South Garden Street may be a quiet street now, but what will it look like a year or two from now as traffic increases? Is it short-sighted to sell off an access route to downtown now? These are my concerns. Downtown is everybody's downtown. Let's make sure it's accessible to all. Thank you for your time. Next speaker.
Okay, another gentleman's about to speak.
Just state your name.
My name is Jim MacArthur. My name is Jim MacArthur. I live here. I'm a real estate investor and developer. I'm familiar with a lot of the things that go on in downtowns in a lot of the cities. Not just here, but all over the country. For instance, one of my offices is in downtown St. Pete. And new development in cities is always a good thing. New construction brings jobs, new buildings bring the property taxes and values up. And anytime that you've got an opportunity to put something like this on the map that brings people in from all over the world, it's always good for the community and obviously revenue for the businesses. Maybe the downtown's just one of the things that might be affected by one street, but I believe the economic impact is what I'm more interested in as somebody that lives here, because I've seen the impact of, you know, the things that Scientology's done. I know people are, pro or con against it. I'm not either way, but I'm more interested in speaking about the economic impact. And I don't know that there's anything negative about that. Potentially, my understanding is the building of that hall might be several $100 million just in itself. And all of that is, there's a trickle down effect with everybody in the community, right? And interesting enough, the artificial turf, comments earlier, the biggest buyer of artificial turf in the world is in downtown Clearwater, sports facilities companies. So the biggest guys in the world on this particular topic are here, and people like the Elron. I'm going to say I think it's a positive thing. I think it's going to bring a lot of money to the city. Downtowns, as a rule, the way things have gone in the past decades, people have moved to the suburbs, and downtown suffered. I remember when St. Petersburg was the same. It was a ghost town. The stores were empty. There was no value there. Now it's a completely different world. I'm involved in real estate and real estate investing. Some of the properties that we have gone up $1 million a year, and that reflects on the value that you people and the county get on tax value and all the rest of it, right? And now there are businesses that are flourishing, whereas before they weren't. And I'll look at the economic side because everybody's always going to be on the political side, one side or the other. But I think there's positive benefit. And I think there's positive benefit on the trickle down effect of everybody from new buildings downtown. It never hurts. It's always a positive thing. And I don't know all the details, but I do know it'll bring eventually probably $1 billion to the community. Thank you. Thank you.
Next speaker.
There's a baldish man about to speak.
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody. Mayor, I want to tell you how proud I am of you and your team. I've written letters to many of you over the past couple of years. From my viewpoint, what you've done downtown is fantastic. I'm my cardiologist, thrilled to hear that I'm still trying to walk at Crest Lake Park. I've been here a long time. I'm married into the Turner family. That's why I've been here a long time. I'm speaking in support of agenda item 6.3. I think
This one's gonna die.
Church.
Someone's getting a phone call.
Graduated me at the Southern Baptist Seminary in Louisville. So, he and I had to talk about this, and he said, Dad, you can't be a missionary without first, you gotta meet people in order to affect their lives. So, good lesson, son. Thank you. So what I wanted you to know is, this year, my company has a 501(c) charity called Operation Toy Soldier. Every year we do 4,000 or 5,000 toys over at McDill Air Force Base. I don't like to talk about it, but I am a DOT contractor. I do have a contract for Pacific Command Special Operations Command, McDill Air Force Base. This year, because of the hurricane, we were in big trouble. They're expecting us to show off with our normal. By the way, when we do this toy drive, we do it anonymously. It truly doesn't matter what E2s and E3s think about or know who I am. It simply doesn't matter. So we did, because we got a problem, we put a Facebook post out there saying, hey, we need help, money, donations, whatever we can do, because we're still trying to take care of the military kids in Tampa. Well, the Clearwater community volunteers reached out to me, didn't know who they were, offered later, told me who they were, but donated 1,000+ toys. And because of them and a lot of other people, we got over the hump. And we still did about 4,000 toys. So I'm also a member of the Bay Pines board. I don't want to go on and on with this, but Tampa Bay Veterans Alliance. And for years, it should be said, they have done a Purple Heart. The Scientology has done a banquet for our Purple Heart recipient. I'm a paratrooper son. I was raised in an Army family. I can only judge, what I see. So this year, last year, I see these people pitching in, trying to trying to help. And my 3 minutes is up. Thank you all. Thank you all. Appreciate what all of you do.
Thank you, Jesus.
Next speaker.
An older gentleman's about to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Sergio Martinez. I used to be a landlord in downtown Clearwater for 35 years. I know downtown Clearwater. I was working very hard to succeed downtown Clearwater. And I suffered many times when the city hall people take wrong decisions against me. And finally, I left. And I feel happy, and I feel disappointment, I feel angry, and that's why you don't see me for 10 years to come back on this place. I used to hear the tenants who was senators were very nice, were very polite, never give problems, never give them problems. They pay the rent, they respect me a lot more than anybody. To me, to check the people what kind of religion belongs is shameful, it's disgrace. It's not supposed to be done that way. But you're going to say if somebody was Catholic or Protestant or Jews, they're not going to come here to deny them. I did not come here to support this issue, but to be justice. 25 years ago, I sent a letter to the mayors and commissioners, and I told them what's going to happen downtown Clearwater. And I got the letter. It happened exactly what I said. When I tried to build up something downtown, it was an issue like the rally. Then there were so many tricks to reject my project. And they done it. I didn't see lately even one train downtown do some work. I saw many buildings people were Santos, they renovated. And don't forget Santos, there are people too. Don't forget that. Don't discriminate anybody. Give the opportunity to do something downtown. Because what we saw late years, nothing happened. Don't stop the progress. Thank you.
Anyone else here for the public that wants to speak?
Okay. This man spoke before.
Mayor and council, it's still Bill Johnson.
I said Dodge would wear this outfit.
I'm really interested in a little more transparency over some of the things that were desired from this negotiated or this partnership, and were declined to be included.
But doesn't that look like a Dodge outfit?
Mostly concerned about the viability of downtown, the diversity, the organic, development of stores and facilities downtown. And I just would like to have some more insight into some of the conversations that we've had with essentially our largest property owner and their strategy. So that's my request. Thank you.
Any other speakers on this?
Another man who's bald.
I'm Mr. Haluba. There is a person sitting on this dais that used to work for Scientology. And I think that should not go unsaid. unethical and evil personality of Daniel Slaughter.
Anyone else here from the public desires to speak? There's none, is there a conference?
There's no more public speakers.
Let's start on the right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody that's come out here today to voice your opinions or concerns. I do hear you.
I don't know what one's speaking.
I think that we can see the broad scheme of where people are, the difference of what it's going to bring to the community with this project going forward, closing garden. From the taxpayer here, we've got a good deal, and later on I'll come back to that. That staff has worked diligently on that protects taxpayers and business owners with certain interests that kick in for protections going forward. Not only that, we've secured commitments to revitalizing our Cleveland Street, which is our downtown, leads into the park and the Bay Care Sound. I can attest that over the last month and a half, you walk Cleveland Street and there are buildings that are now being redone that have building permits in them and construction is ongoing inside it. That the paper is now out of the windows and things are moving. And I think that has to, they can't go unsaid or unnoticed. That is part of that verbal commitment that was made on top of this contract. We see things happening. And until you see the rest of the fruits of the deal pan out, which are activating those storefronts for non-institutional use to ensure that it's going to be businesses that come in at a fair market rate to serve the downtown and the betterment of it, right? Like that's what I think we all, as Clearwater Floridians, are looking for too. We have a wonderful park with a wonderful venue, of which this might become a portion of it, the downtown main library, for those of you watching at home, is what I'm alluding to. And I just think of 50 and 100 years from now, or what are we building for Clearwater? What can we achieve? And we have to work with people. I said this on my campaign, is Scientology is a part of downtown. You work with them when you can, you work around them when you can't. And here staff has taken the advice of all council, brought together the first deal that I think, quite frankly, I was surprised that Scientology even signed the deal that staff was able to get and procure, especially with the, what I will call protections for taxpayers. And I'm pleased for it because it looks like the things are happening. Now, for that being said, you don't move on to anything else until you see the fruits of the labor that have been talked about and negotiated, right? Seeing these storefronts come to fruition and a business come in there, right? And then hopefully thrive and add to the downtown and those other businesses that are there to collaborate and work together and all grow together for this wonderful and fantastic community that we have and we love. Not to mention, selling this property alone, it's what, a 60-foot street with 20 parking spaces that nobody uses, let's be real. And one of the citizens came up here and said, you can't get in if you're trying to go to the beach regardless. And we all know as citizens, she's right. Like traffic going to the beach during spring break or any other season, people are worried about getting to the beach and they're staying in the same traffic and it's gonna be heck trying to get in. So giving that street for them to build this park and this potential green space, also taking the burden off of the taxpayer to take care of the infrastructure that's underneath it is another win in my mind, right? Another thing that I ran on is making sure we're not kicking the can down the road, taking care of our infrastructure and investing in the right things before the next shiny thing. And here we're finding an outside organization willing to not only pay fair market price, give other assurities and assurances, but also take care of infrastructure that's under that area. I understand not everybody's going to be happy with this decision. I would be naive to think that everybody is 1,000%. But with what staff was able to bring to the table with working with their leadership, whoever it was, I'm very pleased with. I'm also very pleased with some of the other things that I've mentioned. And I completely agree with the other gentleman that stood up and the economic development that'll bring it just during the building process. You know, when those workers are here, the hundreds of them that'll be here, they got to have the place to go and eat, a place to go and sleep. You know, if they're coming in from out of town or whatnot, and that's going to be your downtown restaurants. That's where they're going to go. So I think it's a very positive thing. I think it's a step forward. It's, again, what I ran on, allowing staff to do a good job and make a deal that sounds right, that is good for the residents, the businesses of our area, that have protections that follow it and make sure things get done. With that, I will ask Mr. Margolis, I don't know if we can we speak to any other particulars of what we have with that in reference to the contract?
Council would like?
If you could, please.
Sure. So what has been drafted and what I understand the direction to be from the manager and the council should be viewed as tentative. And the reason I say that is because under Florida law, the city is required to advertise for 30 days prior to disposing of any real estate within the development area in which this is located. That advertisement indicates that there will be a public hearing on April 3rd as to a purchase and sale agreement, if the council votes tonight to approve the ordinance on first reading. So in answering that question, I'm happy to give a tentative answer, but just understand that that is all subject to council's direction and council's discussion. And if council decides tonight that there are changes, amendments, modifications, or if council does not pass the ordinance on first reading, then all of that can be subject to change. Absolutely. That said, the current version of the contract, which again is subject to council's decision and approval, has the purchase price that the manager has approved. I have given legal approval in as much as the city charter requires at least fair market value. I have confirmed that in fact that would be obtained here. In fact, we would obtain more than fair market value for the purchase price. Second, it includes a requirement that the majority of Garden Avenue be developed as green space. As we know, it is currently asphalt and parking spaces. So it would be converted, at least in a majority framework, to green space. Keep in mind, we do not have a final site plan for the church, so we do not know exactly how this is going to look when it's going to be done. That is not currently part of the deal. There has been a lot of discussion about that, but there is no development agreement that has been proposed. There is nothing currently on the table as it pertains to that, other than the requirement that the majority of Garden Avenue be green space, which is a component of the drafted purchase and sale agreement. In addition to that, there is going to be no closing on the real estate until after building permits are obtained and after the building is substantially complete. So in other words, it's not as if the city is transferring the property up front and then wondering what's going to happen after that. The reverse has to happen. You have to build the project first. After they build the project, the transfer of real estate will occur as drafted. In addition to that, there are timeframes that are put in there. Candidly, this was probably the most challenging aspect. And the reason for that is not because it's hard to draft, because there are different perspectives among council and even within city government as to whether the underlying project is desirable or not. And so that is challenging from a drafting perspective, because if the project is viewed in a favorable and desirable way, then we want the project done as quickly as possible. But if you're someone who does not care for or does not believe in the underlying project, or does not believe the underlying project is beneficial for Clearwater, then your view could be exactly the opposite. So how do we draft something like that? And the answer is to come up with something in the middle, which has specific timeframes in there so that everybody knows how long this is going to take at the outside, but it also creates a specific terminus. As currently drafted, the buyer is required to obtain building permits and complete the project or substantially complete the project by the end of 2029. If they do not complete it by the end of 2020, the buyer has the option to extend the contract by making non-refundable purchase payments to the city. Those non-refundable payments are $300,000 a year, and they occur in 1-year increments. So in other words, if they're in the middle of construction in 2029, and then they say, hey, we've run into these issues in construction and we need another year, we need another 2 years, they can purchase extensions for $300,000 a year up until the end of 2033, at which time their right to purchase extensions expires. At that point, the city can withdraw from the deal if in fact the project has not been completed. So that is the framework of what has currently been drafted based on the direction the city attorney's office has received. Again, subject to council's direction this evening. If there is something different the council would like to see, frankly, this is the moment, so don't be shy. So
Thank you for giving that out, and I hope that that brings some clarity. And to wrap up, with that, I'd like to bring up, I have told the city manager to express this when she's negotiating. From my perspective, every time, is that Scientology has a 15-minute video of what they intend to do and what their buildings are. Come and share that at a work session. Like, get the community on board and let them see what you intend to do. It's fantastic. It literally is. If the follow through is going to be there, which we can see the steps of them starting to activate certain portions of property that they own down here, in my opinion. I know that's not the shared view of everyone, but I think they're really missing a mark by not showing this video. So I would challenge them. I know they've got to be watching this. Please show your video, reach out, and we'll get it on there so that the community as a whole can see what we can do together, right? So thank you all. Thank you for the time.
Well, let me begin by saying that I don't perceive this to be the typical run-of-the-mill vacation request. It does not fall under the most common, which is vacating easements for utilities. It is not vacating an alley in a residential area, a corner lot in an open field, or a small strip of land in the middle of private property. What we're talking about is a public street, one of which I use every day. A public street that offers parking and revenue and generates revenue. And it also happens to be smack in the middle of our downtown. The privatization of this road goes against our very own downtown plan, which I believe our planning department can attest to. Now, over the last several years, I'm proud to say that the city leadership has initiated an aggressive, creative, multi-pronged revitalization plan that includes, but is not limited to, the building of the award-winning Baycare Sound, the award-winning Coachman Park, the development of the Bluffs, which will add 400 new apartments, 158 key hotel, and a parking garage. We have recently sent an RFI for a public-private partnership with an art institution to activate a portion of the library. We will be adding to our small inventory of brick and mortar businesses with mobile vendors. We are collaborating with St. Pete College School of Business and Arts for a student-based entrepreneurial initiative. And just 1 or 2 blocks east of this said road, we are building a municipal campus centered around our new city hall, and next to that, the PSTA Intermobile Center. And last but certainly not least, we're working closely with the county to redevelop 14 plus properties. So in reference to one of the citizens mentioned it right before, in essence, we are building or rebuilding Rome, and we're being asked to remove a road that leads to it. Now, having lived and worked in downtown for many years, I believe I have a grasp and true understanding of the challenges that our downtown has and continues to face. And it all boils down to balance or lack thereof. Our downtown is a disproportionate amount of institutional use, semi-private and restricted use, vacant lots and vacant storefronts, as well as non-profits. Balance is crucial in maintaining health in any entity, whether we're talking about the economy and the precarious position we might find ourselves by being reliant heavily on one industry. We've all witnessed how diminished numbers of a specific species can play havoc in the ecosystem and the environment, and even the human body. We have all felt the ill effects of when our body is out of balance. This is also true of a downtown. A vibrant downtown must have the right balance of residents, businesses, entertainment, services, and accessibility. The privatization of this road further exacerbates this imbalance. So this vacation request as it stands is not something that I can support. However, and this is what the discussions that I was conveying to the city manager, I would support it if it was accompanied with an activation agreement. At the very least, an initiative that would neutralize this further imbalance. I understand that the Church of Scientology needs this road to encapsulate their large project, but our downtown needs activation. I don't believe the sale price of 1.3 million will move the needle. High impact, open access to all, activation does. For example, for over a decade, I've been hearing about a family entertainment center, whether it's a movie theater, bowling alley, or an amusement center. That would move the needle. That would enable both parties to walk away with something that
He doesn't need to be involved in that.
vacation request as I feel that this exacerbates the imbalance we have. However, I will be open to it if it's in conjunction with the activation agreement.
Can you hear me?
Must include a high
Can you hear it?
and open access initiative. Now, with all that negative impact on our maneuverability and access when all our initiatives finally come to fruition. Questions like, how will this impact the PSTA, the bus queues, the travel grid, the city hall? How will it impact our downtown when we have finally added all the residents, businesses, and visitors we are trying so hard to bring in? I simply do not believe this vacation request as it stands benefits Clearwater residents and visitors.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for being here. Greatly appreciate both sides giving us their thoughts, their perspectives on an important and a long-standing issue in our community. I understand some of you that showed frustrations. I'm born and raised in Clearwater as well. I share those same frustrations as you do regarding our downtown district and the 50 years plus of stagnation and finger pointing, frankly, from all sides, not to blame anyone. Are we content with stunted growth downtown? Our current downtown conditions? Or the path that we've traveled as a community to get here? The suggestion to never work with the largest property owner in our downtown district, the Church of Scientology, means that we are content and satisfied with the results that we currently have and live with. I'm not content with where we are. I'm not content with our downtown. And I know that there's many residents that are, some are with us tonight and many that are not content or satisfied with where we are in our downtown district. Our downtown waterfront district truly has the potential to be amazing. So many of us have said that, identified that. We've enjoyed weekends, dinners, concerts. We truly have a blank canvas of a downtown that not many cities can say. We cannot force anybody to develop a barren property. We cannot force anybody to develop and activate an empty building because there's those little things called constitutional property rights. Our hands are tied on so many fronts. We must be creative as a city and as leadership in finding ways to promote development downtown with the ultimate goal, which was just stated, activation. The activation of properties leading to a thriving and alive downtown that we can all be proud of, that we're all begging for years, some of us 40, 50 years begging for it, praying for it. We have the opportunity to turn that corner and to make Clearwater and downtown Clearwater a place that we are all proud to call our downtown district. This small vacated portion of roadway, it's not being stolen from you. It's not being given away for nothing. And it's not being given for free. It includes the best and highest used average appraisal price. City attorney will tell me that price is 10, correct me, of $1.375 million. That's Countryside's.
I'm gonna pause this for a second. Can we tone it down just a tiny bit? You know, freedom of speech in my chat, but let's stop naming people so often. You know how to be creative.
About cutting in our budget discussions. That pays for the upgrades and expansions at Edgewater Park for the ADA compliant zones, as well as the stormwater plan. That covers the cost of the Long Center's budget deletion of the instructional room in Sundeck that we removed that was planned for the children, for the elderly, and everybody in between. But it's much more than the money. It's the contract assurances. It's the purchase contract assurances that is the meat on the bone in this deal. The vacated roadway doesn't transfer ownership until the issue of an occupancy license. The mandated development timeframe with strict payment penalties, if not finished, is an assurance that activation will happen. The guarantees of open and accessible green space for the public is vitally important to our downtown district as we continue to grow and put concrete walls up and around. This guarantees generational green space. What's been said in the purchase contract is the majority of this vacated roadway must remain green space. And the plan we've seen stretches all the way to Fort Harrison. That is a large, open, accessible green space for everybody in our community, not with four walls around it, like was mentioned and compared to another park. These purchase contract assurances, they're not backdoor handshakes. They're not promises that would have been broken in the past with a wink, wink, nod, nod, take my word for it. These are big picture conditions that promote downtown development, ensure activation, add to Clearwater's tax revenues and economic impact, thank you for sharing that, and contribute to the economic vitality of our downtown district, our downtown merchants, and their businesses that they fight for daily. While I respect many of your doubts and frustrations with where we are in our downtown district and the reality of the brand that our downtown has, but I believe that this is truly a good business deal for not just the city of Clearwater, but for the tax-paying citizens of Clearwater. I continue to promise that every decision that I make on this dais will be in the best interest of the entirety of Clearwater and every resident. It will come to me through prayer and through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Who they say really bad things about.
Thank you. For and against, to voice your opinion of this particular. You know, I've been involved with promoting Clearwater downtown longer, probably than anybody on the dais up here. There's always been an uphill battle because the presence of the churches on house. Many of my constituents oppose the city collaborating with the church, even if it means sacrificing efforts to create a vibrant downtown. The city and the church both envision a downtown filled with restaurants and retail stores. But can we trust the church to prioritize the public's best interest in making this a reality? The church believes it has taken the first step by investing millions in a plan to achieve this goal. Additionally, it has acquired numerous downtown land parcels to facilitate development. But collaboration with the city is essential to bringing this vision to fruition. The right-of-way vacation of this parcel is the first step in this collaboration. We either say yes and move forward toward a possible vibrant future for our downtown, or no and continue the same path we've been on for 50 years. So I'm voting yes.
I appreciate, first I want to say, I appreciate the city members working with five different opinions on whether we should go through this or not. It's been very intense to a great extent. I appreciate that. Not just your two members, but all the city staff. Folks, you know, as many have already said, it's not been easy to navigate this relationship for 35 years. A lot of emotion, a lot of emphasis on it. For me, this is it's not about a lot of big picture in a lot of respects. It's simply about this, utilizing this as a real estate. This whole transaction is being proposed by Simon. It's not being proposed by us or the city. This is their idea. They have had these two lots long time. They have had plans to develop an auditorium on the beach lot for a long time. And have not done it, but could have. Years ago. And they don't need the street close to develop this. Haven't to develop this. So this is something that's being proposed by the, I'm not entirely clear on why they want the street close, why it's because as was pointed out, we don't have a site plan to see how they're going to build it. But for me, that's very important. That as has been said by a number of here today, for me, it's not about it's about how the building is going to look. It's about if the city is going to give up the streets, then what is the city doing? Are we getting there? And knowing that they could have developed this out I'm willing, like in any real estate transaction, you want to buy a piece of real estate, they have no obligation to buy it. We have no obligation to sell it. If you're interested in buying it, then make us an offer and we'll account. We have 5 of us have wanted different things in return. I feel like to make it a win for the city. And we, majority, maybe 3 of you have what you think you need, but I don't. I don't have. I have things other that I have asked for. I think the appearance of the building is very important to the future of downtown. This building is on our gateway to Clearwater Beach. It's really a gateway to millions of visitors that come here. They want to come back. So to me, how the building is, where it's situated is very, very nice for some agreements on design and so on and so forth. But we don't even have a site. Well, the first goal is to solve this text for this agenda. So I think it's the only way we would do this is in my is to have in here an agreement, which I've still not seen. Things that would value the city government. And those haven't been what I hear are going to be. But I think it's Karen Cunningham for you the microphone earlier said, I don't think it's a good idea for us to do this. I feel like before we even know what is in the agreement, before we even have an agreement presented as to this, I feel like it's premature to vote to pass this ordinance without, particularly in my case, without feeling like there's going to be a written person that I could vote for and support. So I think whatever we do there, again, if we're going to help them develop their building by closing the street, we need to have something in it in return for the city, a simple purchase price. So I'm going to vote no on this agenda.
Okay.
I just believe it's good. And what I'm hearing about agreement we would have, the terms that I wanted to don't appear to be what's going to be like.
Maybe this was the guy.
Again, we don't have a site plan. Just think we're doing.
Or I guess that's 2.
So with that as a very.
Sorry, I omitted a very important point. We were talking about the past and being on the same path and expecting different results. Actually, conveying of land has been the same path. That is our history. There's been many instances from 1984 as recent to December of 2021 where we have conveyed property through contract ordinance, which resulted in expanding their territory. And I don't know if anything has materialized where over the years. So we're not really changing anything by conveying another piece of property. We've done that repeatedly before. So I just wanted to clarify that. This is nothing new.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So this is why I think it's extremely important that Scientology share the video that I'm pretty sure all of us as elected officials sat through, which was their pitch for you guys to see it too. We don't have a site plan yet, but they literally showed us what they intend on building, and it matches all of their downtown buildings. It is nothing taboo. And is it written in stone? No, but I do believe that all of us got a glimpse at what they intend on doing. Let me just tell you, if they switch it in the 11th hour from what was on their video to something extraordinary, you got me. Yeah, you pulled the wool over my eyes, but I just don't think that that's going to happen. And that's why I implore them to come during a council session and work session and show the video. Let everybody see it. I am all for talking about this in the limelight, like one of the residents alluded to. I think the taboo of Scientology being in Clearwater needs to be a thing of the past. We shouldn't.
Yes, get Scientology out of Clearwater.
It's just another people group that is within our hometown, and we should be able to openly talk about it without feeling awkward about it. So, with that being said, again, I think with the church, it's really on them, hopefully sooner than later, to come and show everyone else what their plan is. So, with seeing that video and being told this is our intention, that's good for me to know this is what they're going to be doing, not pulling something out from the magician's hat and taking us for another loop. So, as well as what we went over with the contract. But again, I'm surprised and happy that they signed those potential contracts, I should say, the potential contract, seeing as what happens tonight. So just wanted to say that as well.
Jump in again. Yeah, something else. I think this is great. I think participatory governments is what our community needs. You can laugh if you want. This is healthy. This is what communities need to have open, honest, transparent dialogues on some of their biggest challenges that they face. We cannot. Thank you for the respect, Mr. Buck. It's appreciated. We cannot, as previous might have, hide behind a veil of secrecy and have our backdoor discussions that have gotten us the results that we have. That doesn't work anymore. I've said from the very first week that I was appointed and stepped into office, was elected, that we need to have these open dialogues in the public. We need to bring the public along with these processes if we truly want to change the narrative of our community and our downtown. This is part of that process. This is healthy. I commend, I love this group. I love each and every one of you. Us having disagreements is completely healthy. None of us ever want to sit up here and have the same thoughts with the same opinions, agreeing on everything as we roll through an agenda and hear somebody say, unanimous, unanimous, unanimous. We don't want that every time. And I know we expect better of that. That makes us better as leaders. That makes our city better. We produce a better product for our visitors and for our businesses. So I'm with you. I think I challenge the church myself as well. I think you're 100% on when you say that. Is if we're truly going to be some sort of partnership in the success of our community and downtown, come to the table. Come chat with us. Engage our citizens. Let's talk open and honestly about our plans, about the directions we're going, so we can create the brand and the image of a Clearwater that we're all proud of. And I know we would all relish that opportunity. So yes, I'm going to vote yes without a doubt on this. And I look forward to more public engagement going forward in the light.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of discuss procedurally where we're at, kind of what the options are for the council at this point. So there are two parallel processes taking place, one of which is the vacation ordinance, which is pending before you this evening. The other is the purchase and sale agreement, which would be forthcoming. Both of those have to kind of work in tandem with each other, even though they're not on the same agenda tonight. That's true for Gotham. It's true for any other deal. The reason they don't come forward identically at the same time is because they have different advertising requirements. So the 30-day purchase and sale requirement arises under the Community Redevelopment Act. That's why the PSA is not on for tonight's agenda. However, the advertising requirements for the vacation ordinance are a bit different. But both of those will have to go together in the sense that either the council will ultimately vote to approve both a vacation ordinance and its accompanying purchase and sale agreement, or neither, because both of them are conditioned upon each other. So the body of the ordinance says that it will not go into effect unless and until the council approves a purchase and sale agreement. The reverse is also true. As drafted, the purchase and sale agreement says it does not go into effect unless and until the council approves the vacation ordinance. As far as next steps from here, the council has three options, in no particular order. I guess maybe simplicity. But other than that, no preferential order. Option number one is to disapprove the ordinance, in which case, if it is disapproved, then I would assume the deal is dead. Option number two is for the council to approve the ordinance on first reading. If you vote to approve the ordinance this evening on first reading, then the ordinance will come back to you on second reading, as well as a purchase and sale agreement at the March 31st daytime work session. At that time, if it's still on track, it would advance to the April 3rd council meeting, at which time council will have two agenda items, one of which would be the second reading of this ordinance, and the other would be the accompanying purchase and sale agreement. So in other words, voting to approve the ordinance tonight would keep that on track for an April 3rd final approval. And the third and final option is to continue this item to the April 3rd meeting. In other words, the council is not required to take action this evening on the first reading of the vacation ordinance. If the council prefers, a motion could be made to defer this action until the April 3rd meeting, which means the council will be voting on April 3rd as to the first reading of this ordinance, as well as the purchase and sale agreement. So that would mean, to the mayor's point, that both items would come together at a single council agenda item, as opposed to council casting a vote tonight for the first reading only of the vacation ordinance. The end outcome of this is going to be the end outcome, but if the timing is a matter of concern for council, you definitely have the option to continue the meeting from tonight if you so choose. So those are your three options: either vote to approve, vote to disapprove, or vote to continue.
Mayor, may I make a motion to approve agenda item 6.3 for the vacation of right of way and the purchase and sale agreement?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. That would be Councilmember Benito, Vice Mayor Albrecht, Councilmember Cotton voting yes, and the mayor and Councilmember Teixeira voting. Thank you. We'll move to item 6.4.
Amend the city's fiscal year 2024-2025 operating capital improvement budget to first quarter and pass ordinance.
There's no point listening to anything else on that. I kind of already knew that was going to happen, but when I heard it was 2-2, I had a little bit of hope. But I think that we expected that. But what this is for us is a wake-up call. Los Angeles cannot be the same. You know, the street vacation, we learned from this what, I know it's different because it's Florida and it's California, but we learned what they were looking at in deciding. I mean, we know that they really just did it for the money or whatever, but they said a lot of information that we can go back and listen to and learn from and bring up those points for the LA Public Works. And unfortunately, the city council in LA, you cannot call in currently. So local people can talk at city council, but we got to do public works. And Bob, you're not new. Get out of here. Let me catch up on a few of these. But I'm glad that Bunker was there. If we could put his link in the chat again. And it would have been nice if other people that we knew of would have been there, but there were some people there that were speaking up against the street vacation. There are also people speaking for it, but and that's something that we can take their points and elaborate on the points that they made against this street vacation. Yeah, but like on one of my videos, Bunker had commented, and he basically said that there's no way they don't got the votes to stop it. It's gonna happen. So I was kind of prepared, but where we at? So we got to remember, okay, Public Works for Los Angeles is Wednesday at 10 a.m. PST. Is that what they call it? California time. So review the tapes. I probably will do a stream going through and seeing, breaking it down, seeing what we can learn from this and bring to LA. But we're going to push back against the street vacation. We're individuals. I'm not saying like we're a group, but seeing the people, the persistence that other people have had to call in continuously. I'm pretty sure that like the people that have been calling and new people are gonna push against the street vacation. That's a really good idea. I was also thinking that if someone could get some type of petition and find someone that was local that was able to go. And I was thinking, you go a block or two over and let them know that their traffic is always impacted when they have the special events and they close it down temporarily. But imagine if it was closed forever, how much more traffic would be on their street. People don't want more traffic on their streets. Point out stuff that's going to be specific to the neighbors so that the neighbors know, what the benefit is for them. Fighting this means that traffic won't get worse on their street because of it. Now, I don't know the laws about that. So, of course, if anyone's going to do that, look up the local laws. I know people have done that, but I don't know. Things are different everywhere. And a lot of people that live by Scientology are not fazed by Scientology. Like they're still living there. They hear about Scientology all the time. They see it all the time. It's nothing to them. So the angle of pointing out that Scientology is bad might not work for certain neighbors because they really don't care. But like I said, they'll care about traffic getting worse on their street. Like make it personal for people. Yes. And parking, instead of letting them steal that street from the public, why not help the public out with more parking? You know, when you're trying to find a parking spot to go to that location, people are having to park in red zones, loading zones, park, 7 blocks down. Like, but if they had metered parking, that would give the city money too. And the city loves money. And if you come up with solutions for them, that's supposed to help. Um, well, the 1 block, but I would consider that part of their compound area. So I was talking about the block over from Catalina. Because I feel like the one-way street is I don't know. But still it impacts their traffic. And there's more than just Bert. There's at least 4 people that I've seen that are neighbors that have been complaining. So, there's some that are already wanting to be against this probably. I think they have more concerns about noise, but this could still be an issue for them. Uh, well, let's not commit her to anything. Maybe she would. Probably. Um, and isn't there another one called Next Door or something? The surrounding businesses are already impacted. Like with the planters, they were impacted. With the Scientologists doing the parking games by taking all the spots and parking in loading zones and making no place for anyone, including their customers, to park. So a way to help out the businesses is to get metered parking on L. Ron Hubbard. That's a lot of parking, and customers would be able to get to these businesses easier. Okay, cool. I just want to, I'm not, like Kelly, you don't have to have like a source, and say in my opinion and all that stuff, but I kind of want to make sure before we're like signing her up for something, committing her to something, that there's more than like a hunch behind it. Yeah, a lot of times there's like local Facebook pages, not just like for neighborhoods, but even different like sub genres. It's a wonderful suggestion. Wonderful suggestion. It really is. I think that since she had something to she had a big part in changing it to L. Ron Hubbard. So I feel like she's been through a situation before way long ago, but still she's dealt with the local government and a situation involving this area again. Like, I really thought that it didn't rain there. And it seems like it's been raining a lot. Is this like the raining season? Like, is it normal? Because it seems like a lot of rain as of late. But I think that you have to be in a certain area in order to sign up for that area. I think that there's like some security thing where they can't prove that you live in a certain area, but you got to be kind of close to it. It has to make sense, I think. I might be wrong. And how would people that live in those houses get to and from their house? And like, I don't know if they get that street vacation. Think of all the unpermitted construction they would do. You know, like, it's not going to end there. Yeah, and if you want to get to that level, like, and call into the neighborhood councils or even just watch them if you haven't watched the neighborhood councils, there's like two of them. And the East Hollywood is the one for the Blue Building and L. Ron Hubbard Way. And then the Central Hollywood is the one with Elvina and Sunshine. And that's where someone called and said that they were uh, Officer White's baby mama or something. But the one that this is, it's in East Hollywood, which is Yellow Shirt, aka Jeff. On their bid for this area, they have Susanna Four Names, who is a Scientologist, and she uses like at least 4 different last names depending on what she's doing. Like one moment she's Susanna Farios, and then she's Susanna Johansson, and then she's Susanna Furioso, and then I forget what the other one is, but there's a fourth one, and there could be more. But she's a Scientologist. She says she's that video that I put out today with the song on it and everything. There's that document from LA, and she's the one typing in there, I think, saying that she's on the East Hollywood bid and she's part of Scientology and she wants to talk about the street vacation. Now, I missed that. I needed some sleep, so I fell asleep for a little bit. How did that go? I don't know much about that one. It's the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, but I don't know. Yeah, it sort of seems shady. Like, why would you switch your name for the different things that you do? Um, there are more emails, but they're in the CPRAs, and those are like 200 some pages sometimes, and they're really repetitive, but they are in there. And I think there's one where they're talking about the Arby's sign and Bill Delvick, the lawyer that they hired to do the lobbying for the street vacation, he was commenting on the Arby sign and said, "Oh, by the way, I want to talk to you about something else." So there's little things here and there throughout several of the different CPRAs. It just they gotta be found again. Unless someone was smart and, was putting stuff in different, you know, categories to say, I don't know. Super cool seems like that type of person, but like I don't I don't know what one it is. I don't know what CPRA it is. I I know there's multiple, but there is more in those CPRAs. Um, Now I understand how some streamers are like way far behind in the chat. I'm never gonna say anything about Kelly being like way behind in chat now because I feel like I'm way behind in chat. You got a totally different perspective when you're doing this. Um, yeah, I think that's the one that I had in my video. And it said something like E East Hollywood something member, bid member or something like that. I forget what it says. Great idea. So Kirby's, remember when you were live and I was modding for you and I must have put like 100 different links in your chat? Can you like go through and show love to people and put like, I don't know, DOA's links for the litigation fees and the merch? Bunker put his link, and then we gotta do Kelly and Audit and Mona, and then put your link in there too, and Miriam's, and then I feel like I should pause and let you do some first before. Oh, and then put Amy's in. The video, it's more that video that I put up, the latest one. I wrote that song about the situation, and then I figured I was gonna just try a bit harder with my videos. Usually I just put like a picture there or whatever, but I decided to do a little slideshow with, all the documents, and you can't read them while you're going through, but you can pause it, and like all the important stuff from the meeting today was in there. Kirby's, where you at? Come on, you gotta get faster with that. I was going like way faster than that. Um, I'm just playing, obviously. If you don't know, like, I I really respect Kirby. She's so freaking awesome. If you read that 71-page cast inspection report, that's because of Kirby's. That's because of Audit. It's because both of them. Like, I I'm just joking when I'm not even like trashing her, but when I'm giving her a hard time, it's all in fun. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, like chop chop Kirby's. I had like in this time I had like 7 of them up. And I didn't even know these direct ads and stuff. I had to look them up and I don't do links. It was my first day. Awesome. And yeah. So no matter what side you're on, if there even are sides, or there might be more than 2 sides, there might be 5,000 sides. But no matter what your views are on a particular person, it's important to support DOA against these charges. It affects more than just him. It affects anyone that's trying to speak out against Scientology. Um, let's see. Okay. And then there's Amy. Okay. And then yeah, so you've been calling in for a minute. You're not like new at calling in, but I think you're new at sort of telling us who you were. Yes. But see, the difference between when I was putting up the links and when Kirby does the links, she adds that little extra to it. She always, or most of the time, she adds a little, like, she put sub to the lore of DOA with the emojis. And then she's like, subscribe to Amy with the emojis. And, like, she makes them prettier. And I don't got time for, when I'm doing it, I just link it. But that's really like commendable. Yeah, commendable of her. Well, yeah, because Scientology in litigation, they have a reputation for just wasting people's time so that people have to pay their lawyer more and more money because it's dragging on. And lawyers usually charge per hour with stuff. And when you like email them or call them, they charge you for that. And they they want to just drag it out and make it so that you have to talk to your lawyer more, make it so that you have to go to more court appearances. I heard the other day something about, it was a different topic, but they were like spying and surveilling a guy for like decades, and they spent like $12 million to do it. But they spent decades doing it. They just, I don't know. Okay, so we got the legal fund. MD, who said we can't hold him to it because he might not be up to it. It might be different in the morning, but he said that he's gonna try to go out there to Blue tomorrow. So, Joe, what's up? Um, and let's go. Okay, she's been calling in, but she's been doing something even more, like special. I mean, calling in is good, but she's doing more. She's doing weekly recaps, which again, we can't hold her to it. Like if she skips a week because real life and she just can't, like don't get mad at her. But she's doing really good recaps and she's dropping them on Sundays so far. And they are amazing. And you definitely need to check them out if you haven't. And if you're here and you are, into the meetings and stuff like that, there was the specific one where she, had a lot of meeting stuff. But the other one, she has meeting stuff in there too throughout it. And it's like a mix between the boots on the ground and the meetings and just anything that happened in the week. Like she raises people up and she puts spotlights on stuff that we might have missed. And she's really good with editing it and the music and the transitions. This girl knows what she's doing. Her videos are amazing. But I'm gonna stop love bombing you. Um let's see. Oh, we got Lara. But see, I'm pretty sure most people in here are gonna be subscribed to these people already. But on the off chance that you're not, go ahead and subscribe to them. Ashley. Ashley is amazing. And she doesn't do much like live streaming. And you'll see her like on other people's streams, on DOAs and Lara's and stuff. But she's amazing. I met her in person and she is as awesome as you think she would be. Like one of my favorite moments was hanging out, with Ashley and Sandra, and DOA, Lara, like meeting all of them. Like they were really welcoming and it was awesome to meet them. I mean, they want to go to court, but they do seem to want to settle after they push it, as far as they can. But I guess if he's doing a speedy trial, I don't know. But there's more than, it's not just, you know, the things for the charges. There's other stuff. So it's gonna take time. Audit. Subscribe to her. What are you talking about, dude? You are so good. And like, I like how you prepare for it and you put the jargon in there. Like when you speak, you put extra stuff that sometimes I wouldn't think of. Like jargon is very important, and I've noticed it a lot. You do it super cool. Permit Sue. Yeah, I wish some of the bigger streamers would put a little more focus on the meetings. Since they're not, we're doing what we got to do. All of us that are stepping up, we're doing what we got to do, but it would be so nice. I see Nora just went live, so I'm going to go through this chat and then I'm going to end it so we can, go over there or wherever you want to go. We got Kelly right there, and then okay, Kirby's. Why don't you put your link in there next, and then I'm gonna want my wish list in there. I'm gonna ask if anyone's able to help me out with the computer. I know it's a long shot, but if someone can help me, these streams would be so much better. I somehow figured out a way to get video on the meeting, but it could be so much better if I had a computer. I could come up with so much better videos. There's a lot more that I could do. And I think that if you are following the movement and you know, are in it for the right reasons to end the abuses and stuff like that, I think that it would benefit you. I don't know if it would benefit you enough to buy it on my wish list, but I think it would benefit the people in this community for me to get a computer, because I would be doing a lot of streams and a lot of informative stuff, and I would keep highlighting the meetings for us. But yep, Dodge. But okay, Kirby's, come on. We got to get these people over to Nora. Put your link in there, put my wish list, and let me see if I have a song on here. I should have uploaded my new song on here that I had wrote about the Clearwater Council meeting, but I don't have it. Oh, I have this. Yeah.
Subscribe to Ganja Girl. She'll like totally illuminate your mind. Subscribe to Ganja Girl. She'll like totally illuminate your mind. GG Ganja Girl, whatever she calls herself. GG.
Yeah, where's the song that I put? This one works.
We get caught in the shadows and routine, but step back and remember what we've seen, how far we have come and what we've achieved. It's actually really crazy, hard to believe, but there's still a journey ahead, a lot to do. You gotta keep on pace and push through. It gets hard without an end in sight, but we will win this fight. It can get overwhelming, there's no doubt that's a fact. It's good to take some time, rest up and come back. Self-care is important. Take care of yourself. Check out when you need to. What's best for your health. Re-energize, get your head straight. Get your rest, it's worth the wait. Then come back when you're better. Continue the fight against the abuses, standing up for what's right. But there's still a journey ahead, a lot to do. Gotta keep on pace and push through. It gets hard without an end in
Come on, Kirby. Hurry up.
but we will win this fight. It can get overwhelming, there's no doubt that's a fact. It's good to take some time, rest up and come back. Self-care is important. Take care of yourself. Check out when you need to. What's best for your health? Oh, re-energize, get your head straight, get your rest, it's worth the wait. Then come back when you're better, continue the fight against the abuses, standing up for what's right. But there's still a journey ahead, a lot to do, a lot to do. Gotta keep on pace and push through.
agenda, find the link to the Zoom. Click on it to connect to the room. We sit and wait for the meeting to begin, and the names TJ starts calling. They ask us what we wanna comment on. We say general or multiple agenda item. Then we continue to wait for them to start up, and finally we are now recording pops up. The president talks and it's blah blah blah, but he mentions public comment, the time is now. They call on us to speak and we all slay. Everyone's so good with what they say. Sometimes it feels never ending, it's been so long, but to this day we're all so strong. We're so strong. We're so strong. We're so strong. We're so freaking strong, y'all. Click on it to connect to the room. We sit and wait for the meeting to begin.
She puts in the hours, she puts in the work. Whether it's city council or public works, or neighborhood councils, police or fire commissions, speaking her public comment is her mission. She streams it all for us to observe. We get to see and hear each word. She has a voice and ain't afraid to use it. And talk about persistent, she don't ever quit. She puts in the hours, she puts in the work. Whether it's city council or public works, or neighborhood councils, police or fire commissions, speaking her public comment is her mission. She streams it all for us to observe. We get to see and hear each word. She has a voice and ain't afraid to use it. And talk about persistent, she don't ever quit.
Good morning, sunshine, she says each day. Even when things are a little gloomy and gray, she starts our day off with positive vibes. Early in the morning, doing her live, she calls all the meetings and speaks with such strength. Even if the time is such a limited length, we disagree on a thing or two here and there, but really that don't even matter. She has my respect and that's never in doubt. That's why I took the time to write this out. To give her her props, credit is definitely due. And also to say, Mona, thank you. Good morning, sunshine, she says each day. Even when things are a little gloomy and gray, she starts our day off with positive vibes. Early in the morning, doing her live, she calls all the meetings and speaks with such strength. Even if the time is such a limited length, we disagree on a thing or two here and there, but really that don't even matter. She has my respect and that's never in doubt. That's why I took the time to write this out. To give her her props, credit is definitely
Defender of fans stands tall and try to slide it down, but he won't flee. Arrested falsely, but he didn't break. The warrior God up kept fighting for their sake. DOA with his voice so loud, wears costume costumes to draw a crowd. He gets eyes and ears on the situation in hand. His protest style, your attention in command. His yells, it's a cult and it echoes through the streets. Then he gets his megaphone, he can get really deep. His heart is really in this and you can really tell. Plus it's also fun to give Scientology hell. They try to drown him in their schemes, but with every win he gains more steam. With every metaphorical punch he grows stronger, and Scientology loses more and more power. It's gonna bring them down one day. This is how legends are made.
They were trapped behind the walls, shadows deep where silence calls. Broke the chains and they stood tall, found their voices after all. Laura, searching order to Liz Farah shining through. Lost the fear, found something new. Now I know it's really true. They are free, they're warriors strong, singing their own freedom songs. You can join them, come along. Break away where you belong. Leave the cult. Yeah, it's a cult. Word clear cult. Leave the cult. It's a scam. They just want your money. Save your money. You can really be free without all these. Maybe all these. Maybe look into the atrocities. Abuses of Scientology on the right in front of you. It's all with you. Take your blinders off, save yourself. Leave the cult. They just want your money, save your money. You can really be free without all these. Maybe look into the atrocities. Abuses of Scientology. Oh, look right in front of you. It's all in view. Take your blinders off, save yourself, leave the calls. Oh, look right in front of you. It's all in view.
Still doing a little bit of
Take your
a
blinders
stream with the
off,
music.
save yourself, leave the calls.
But yeah, you missed the meeting.
They were trapped behind the walls. Shadow.
Subscribe to Ganja Girl. She'll like totally illuminate your mind. GG Ganja Girl, whatever she calls herself. GG.
Little arrogant, pathetic Dex. You're supposed to serve and protect.
But instead a lot of you are corrupt and collude. Also you have such bad attitudes. There are few good, I can think of some, but most of Northeast is corruption.
Hollywood is the same, many dirty cops there, they seem bought by Scientology. This ish ain't fair, and isn't fairness how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to have some type of neutrality, but they biased as up when the cult calls them, saying some BS lie about a fake gunman. They get extra rough even when they know it's false.
They know all about the SWAT calls.
Then they act extra shady and sus. Keeping the camera on them is a must. There's legit concern that they plant something or lie. Having it on vid is important if they try. Little arrogant, pathetic Dex. You have zero respect. Y'all so corrupt, y'all so dirty, it's sad. F it up for the good ones, cause you're so bad. Some, but most of Northeast is corruption. Hollywood is the same, many dirty cops there, they seem bought by Scientology. This ish ain't fair, and isn't fairness how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to have some type of neutrality, as Uck when the cult calls them, saying some BS lie about a fake gunman. They get extra rough even when they know it's false. They know all about the SWAT calls, then they act extra shady and sus. Keeping a camera on them is a must. There's legit concern that they plant something or lie. Having it on vid is important if they try. Little arrogant, pathetic decks, you have zero respect. Y'all so corrupt, y'all so dirty, it's sad. F it up for the good ones, cause you're so bad.
Skateboarding down Ron Hubby Way, camera in hand with a zoom that slays. She's got love for the Sea or E-ins, but she points out the badness that lies within. She uses her voice to spread the word about what abuses have occurred. Be impeccable with your words, she shouts. Don't take things personally, clear out the doubts. Don't make assumptions, seek to understand. Always do your best, lend a helping hand. Her name is Kelly, she's got such a smile, and her words cannot be described as vile. She doesn't spread lies or misinfo, make sure you add IMO. And don't state something as fact if you can't cite your source in her chat. Be impeccable with your words, she shouts. Don't take things personally, clear out the doubts. Don't make assumptions, seek to understand. Always do your best, lend a helping hand. Her name is Kelly, she's got such a smile, and her words cannot be described as vile. She doesn't spread lies or misinfo, make sure you add IMO. And don't state something as fact if you can't cite your source in her chat. Impeccable with your word, she shouts. Don't take things personally, clear out the doubts. Don't make assumptions, seek to understand. Always do your best, lend a helping hand. I'd like to do your best, lend a helping hand.
Got a smile that hides the storm. Janet Wyland's eyes so warm, but there's a shadow in her wake. Behind the kindness lies a snake. She's playing chess with all our lives, fair games people with her lies. You think you're safe inside her plan until she strikes you where you stand. Janet Wyland in disguise, truth buried beneath her eyes. She's not the sweet old lady, she's the storm behind the skies. Safe points every government with whispers, soft her time will spend. You think she's just a gentle hand, she's got the power in command. Wears a mask that's painted bright, hides her darkness out of sight, pulls the strings from deep within. Beware of Janet and her sin. Janet Wyland in disguise, truth buried beneath her eyes. She's not the sweet old lady, she's the storm behind the skies. Janet Wyland in disguise, truth buried beneath her eyes. truth buried beneath her eyes. She's not the sweet old lady, she's the storm behind the skies. Janet Wyland in disguise, truth buried beneath her eyes. She's not the sweet old lady, she's the storm behind.
That would be so cool though. Like, we gotta find a way for both of us to go at the same time, Kirby's. That would be so awesome. I'm gonna play one more really short song, unreleased. I played it before in my streams, but you won't be able to just click a video and listen to it unless you go through the whole live. But it's not really Scientology related, it's LA related. But have a good one, everyone. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for staying as long as you guys have.
Walking down the boulevard, and what do I see? A dude delivering a running knee. There's a guy on the ground, and now they're kicking his head. Really effing hard, he could end up dead. And it's 2 on 1, and one has a knife. No way to intervene without risking your life. Some lady is screaming, she's calling the cops, and I'm praying, I hope it's not. But I didn't stick around to see. I dipped as soon as I could for safety. During the day, yeah, the boulevard's cool, but at night it seems they got different rules.
Alright, have a good one, y'all. Catch you on the next one, which could actually be a few hours from now. I don't know. I'm running out of time on StreamYard free, and it doesn't renew for another week. And in order to upgrade, they want me to pay $90. So I might have to learn how to stream directly from YouTube, and that's going to be different for me. So if anyone has any tips, my email is on my YouTube page. Send me, send me some ideas on like what to do, because I have no idea how to. I've never started a live from YouTube directly. I always use StreamYards, and I literally think I only have an hour left. But I'll see y'all somehow, even if I can't do it StreamYards. I'll see y'all soon.